fitted with a fully equipped kitchen, 3 ensuite bedrooms with walk-in closets, powder room, sophisticated lighting, air condition, security cameras, burglar proofing, electronic gate garages, study, and utility room. Residents have access to a recreational pond, play park, and an artificial turf football field. Call 792-1155 to arrange your visit today. Visit our Facebook page, Springland Gardens, for more information.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Gajananam Bhutaganadisevitam Kapitajambhu Phalsarbhakshanam Umasutam Shokavinashikaranam Namami Vigneshwar Parpankajam.
वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं.
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै.
ओम सिद्धि बुद्धि प्रदे देवी भुक्ति मुक्ति प्रदायिनी मंत्र मूर्ति सदा देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते.
प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता हनुमंता आंजनेया. प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता हनुमंता आंजनेया. प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता हनुमंता अंजनेया.
प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूजा हनुमंता आंजनेया.
हे पवन पुत्र हनुमंता बल भीमा आंजनेया.
पवन पुत्र हनुमंता बल भीमा आंजनेया.
हनुमंता आंजनेया. हनुमंता 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 आंजनेया.
हनुमन्ता हनुमन्ता आञ्जनेया
प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता बल भीमा आंजनेया
प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता हनुमन्ता आञ्जनेया
प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता बल भीमा आंजनेया
प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता बल भीमा आंजनेया
बल भीमा बल भीमा 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 बल भीमा आंजनेया
प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता हनुमंता आंजनेया
प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता हनुमन्ता आंजनेया
प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता हनुमंता आंजनेया
प्रभु रामचंद्र के दूता हनुमन्ता आंजनेया
हे पवन पुत्र हनुमंता बल भीमा आंजनेया
हे पवन पुत्र हनुमन्ता बल भीमा आंजनेया
बल भीमा बल भीमा बल भीमा आंजनेया
बल भीमा बल भीमा बल भीमा आंजनेया
हनुमंता 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 आंजनेया
हनुमन्ता 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 आंजनेया
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी
जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी
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 मुरली मनोहर करुणा सागर
मुरली मनोहर करुणा सागर
मुरली मनोहर करुणा सागर
करुणा सागर
मुरली मनोहर करुणा सागर
मुरली मनोहर करुणा सागर
मुरली मनोहर करुणा सागर
मुरली मनोहर करुणा सागर
जय गोवर्धन धारी
जय गोवर्धन धारी
जय गोवर्धन धारी
जय गोवर्धन धारी
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी
यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन
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 यमुना तीर वनचारी
यमुना तीर वनचारी
यमुना तीर वनचारी
यमुना तीर वनचारी
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
राम राम हरे हरे
राम राम हरे हरे
हरे
जय रघुनंदन जय जय रामा 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 जय जगजननी जानकी रामा जय जगजननी जानकी रामा जय जगजननी जानकी रामा जय जगजननी जानकी रामा जय रघुनंदन जय जय रामा जय रघुनंदन जय जय रामा जय जगजननी जग जननी जानकी रामा नव नव कोमल मेघ श्यामा 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 भवहरना भद्राचल रामा भवहरना भद्राचल रामा भयहरना भद्राचल रामा भयहरना भद्राचल रामा दशरथ नंदन हे परधामा दशरथ नंदन हे परधामा दशरथ नंदन हे परधामा दशरथ नंदन हे परधामा दशमुख मर्दन श्री रघुरामा दशमुख मर्दन श्री रघुरामा राम 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 हे नंद लाला, हे नंद लाला,
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 गोपी मनोहर गोकुल बाला,
गोपी मनोहर गोकुल बाला,
गोपी मनोहर गोकुल बाला,
गोपी मनोहर गोकुल बाला,
हे नंद लाला, हे नंद लाला,
हे नंद लाला, हे नंद लाला,
गोपी मनोहर गोकुल बाला,
गोपी मनोहर गोकुल बाला,
हे नंद लाला, हे नंद लाला,
हे नंद लाला, हे नंद लाला,
विश्ववंदित विजय गोपाला,
विश्ववंदित विजय गोपाला,
विश्ववंदित विजय गोपाला,
विश्ववंदित विजय गोपाला,
वेद वेदांता वेणुगोपाला,
वेद वेदांता वेणुगोपाला,
विश्ववंदित विजय गोपाला,
विश्ववंदित विजय गोपाला,
वेद वेदांता वेणुगोपाला,
वेद वेदांता वेणुगोपाला,
गान विलोला राजगोपाला,
गान विलोला राजगोपाला,
गान विलोला राजगोपाला,
गान विलोला राजगोपाला,
राधा वल्लभ रास विलोला,
राधा वल्लभ रास विलोला,
राधा वल्लभ रास विलोला,
राधा वल्लभ रास विलोला,
जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद,
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 जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद, जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद, जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद, जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद, जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद, जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद, जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद,
जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद,
जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद,
जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद,
जय जय गोविंद जय हरि गोविंद,
हे नंद लाला, हे नंद लाला,
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 हे नंद लाला, हे नंद लाला, Krishna Rama Govinda Narayana Krishna Rama Govinda Narayana Keshava Madhava Hari Narayana Keshava Madhava Hari Narayana Krishna Rama Govinda Narayana Shri Venu Gopal Krishna Shri Venu Gopal Krishna Shri Venu Gopal Krishna Madhava Madhusudana Madhava Madhusudana Narayana Madhava Madhusudana Madhava Madhusudana Narayana Madhava Madhusudana Madhava Madhusudana Narayana Krishna Rama Govinda Narayana Keshava Madhava Hari Narayana Keshava Madhava Hari Narayana Krishna Rama Govinda Narayana Shri Venu Gopal Krishna Shri Venu Gopal Krishna Shri Venu Gopal Krishna Madhava Madhusudana Madhava Madhusudana Narayana Madhava Madhusudana Madhava Madhusudana Narayana Rama Govinda Narayana Krishna Rama Govinda Narayana Krishna Rama Govinda Narayana Krishna Rama Govinda Narayana May I take this opportunity to welcome you, but at this stage, before I share my words of welcome, I'd like to ask Nandini and Geeta and Ranju to light the lamps. That's your phone. Light the lamps at the murtis. आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान भक्त रहे हम राह दिखा दे भगवन राह दिखा दे। भग कर है हम राह दिखा दे, भगवन राह दिखा दे। कदम कदम पर किरण दिखा दे, भगवन किरण दिखा दे। कदम कदम पर किरण दिखा दे, भगवन किरण दिखा दे। इन अखियन के प्रभु करा दे, इन अखियन की प्रभु करा दे। ज्योति से पहचान, ज्योति से पहचान। आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान। हम तो है संतान तिहारी, प्रभु संतान तिहारी। हम तो है संतान तिहारी, प्रभु संतान तिहारी। तेरी दया के हम अधिकारी, प्रभु है हम अधिकारी। तेरी दया के हम अधिकारी, प्रभु है हम अधिकारी। दुनिया होवे सुखी हमारे, दुनिया होवे सुखी हमारी। ऐसा दे वरदान, ऐसा दे वरदान। आज मेरे में है हम इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान। आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान। भज गोविंदा जय गोपाला, भज गोविंदा जय गोपाला। भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला,
भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला।
भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला, भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला। भज गोविंदा जय गोपाला, भज गोविंदा जय गोपाला। भज मुरली भज मुरली, 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 भज मुरली। भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला, भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला। भज गोविंदा जय गोपाला, भज गोविंदा जय गोपाला। जय नंद लाला जय गोपाला,
जय गोपाला,
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 जय नंद लाला जय गोपाला। भज
गोविंदा जय गोपाला, भज गोविंदा जय गोपाला।
Jai Gopala,
Jai Jai Gopala,
Jai Jai Nandalala,
Jai Jai Nandalala.
Sitaram, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for the second night of our satsang, the Chariot of Dharma, with the discourse being delivered by my brother, Professor Anantanand Rambachan, Professor of Religion at St. Olaf and internationally recognized authority on the Hindu tradition. This, for those who are joining us tonight on the social media, we are doing this yajna from Toby Trace in Avocat, where we are housed in a shrine that is called the Kula Devalaya. Kula Devalaya means the place or the resident of the family deity, the place of the family deity. And our family deity is, of course, Hanumanji. But there are three murtis on the altar. There is a Ganesh and also a Durga Ma. The Ganesh Murti, our family worshipped and continues to worship every year in the Ganesh festival. And my mother was also an ardent devotee of Durga Mata. And this shrine, Kula Devalaya, is really a shrine that has been built to honor our ancestors. We on the Rambachan side are a very small family. In fact, we are just three brothers, myself, Anand, and Pandit Brahmanan Rambachan. And my uncle, Rupnarayan Rambachan, he is the oldest surviving member now of the family. He's in his 90s, 92 years old. And tonight I want to greet him and my aunt, Auntie Flowers, as we affectionately call her. And on my Nana and Nani side, the oldest surviving aunt now, or person on that side of the family, is Tanti Basde of Point Fortin. And I also greet her tonight, as greet all the extended family of Pandit Rambachan and Sriraji Rambachan. That was my grandmother's name, and my father and mother, Chandrauti and Dheeraj Rambachan. Also on the walls of the shrine are the pictures of the late Ramnarayan Rambachan, who was called affectionately Bad, and that was because he was a very wicked fast bowler. And my aunt, who we call Deed, and she also passed away in her 90s. So this shrine is really meant to honor our ancestors. It is very easy to forget what our ancestors have done for us. I always try to remember that no matter how small their gifts have been to us, it is upon those foundations that we have built our lives. And the mark of, I think, of a very successful individual, an individual who gains respect, is not about what he or she receives from the ancestors, but how he or she adds value to it and the form and fashion in which he or she bequeaths it to the future. And I think that is the motivation behind this particular shrine. In addition to which, I've said to Anand that I hope that at least once a year, the extended family can gather here and praise God and be together in this shrine. I will pass away, he will pass away, Gita will pass away, Nandini will pass away, we'll all pass away. But we hope that this shrine will be a place of meeting where our traditions, our ancestry, our contributions will continue to be remembered. Not in an egotistic way, but in a manner that will inspire future generations to contribute to the tradition of Hinduism. Tonight, I want to, before Anand start, to begin with a prayer that you will see written on that wall, Hanuman's prayer in the Ramayana. And the meaning and significance of this prayer was taught to us by Anand in a discourse he delivered at Diwali Nagar in 1987, when he spoke about Hanumanji for 7 nights. And I think it was a follow-up yagna for 7 nights also. So he spoke on Hanuman for 14 nights. And that particular discourse was entitled, How to Pray, and how we pray according to how Hanuman taught us to pray. And tonight I want to start with that prayer, because this prayer has become actually a prayer of the family also. And the translation of the prayer that is given there is a translation by Anand. And Hanumanji, when he prayed to Sri Ram, he knelt down. And that's why we have the kneeling Hanuman here. And he's kneeling down and continued to pray, inspiring us also to pray to Sri Ram. And the prayer says, O Ram, although my defects and limitations are innumerable, my Lord, look upon me as favorably as your servant. Not knowing you, I am lost in your world. Only through your grace can I be free. I confess, my Lord, that I do not know how to approach you. What songs of praise should I sing? What spiritual path should I take which will lead me to you? But I stand before you as a child stands before a loving parent. I stand before you as a servant stands before a kind master, confident that in your compassionate arms I can be freed of all anxieties. And Anand, I think that this prayer will start tonight with.
जर पीनात बहु अवगुण मोरे सेवक प्रभु ही परजनी भोरे नाथ जीव तव माया मोहा सो निस तरये तुम्हारे ही चोहा तापर मैं रघुवीर दोहाई जानो नहीं कछु भजन उपाय सेवक सुत पति मातु भरोसे रही असोच बनई प्रभु पोसे राजा राम सीताराम राजा राम सीताराम राजा राम सीताराम राजा राम सीताराम राजा राम 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 सीताराम राम राम राजा राम 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 सीताराम राम राम जद पिनात बहु अवगुण मोरे सेवक प्रभु ही पर जन भोरे राम सिया राम राम सिया राम राजा राम 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 सीता राम 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 राजा राम 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 सीता राम 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 नाथ जीव तव माया मोहा सो निस्तरई तुम्हारे ही चोहा राम सिया राम राम सिया राम राजा राम 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 सीता राम 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 राजा राम 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 सीता राम 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 तापर मैं रघुवीर दोहाई जनक सुतपति मातु भरोसे रही यशोद बने प्रभु को से राम सिया राम राम सिया राम राजा राम 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 सीता राम 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 राजा राम सीता राम राजा राम सीता राम राजा राम 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 सीता राम 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 राजा राम 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 सीता राम राम राम।
वर्णानाम् अर्थसङ्घानाम् रसानां छन्दसामपि मङ्गलानां च कर्तारौ वन्दे वाणी विनायकौ भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तमीश्वरम् वन्दे बोधमयं नित्यं गुरुं शङ्कररूपिणं यमाश्रितो विवक्रोऽपि चन्द्रः सर्वत्र वन्द्यते सीताराम गुणग्रामं पुण्यारण्यविहारिणौ वन्दे विशुद्धविज्ञानौ कवीश्वर कपीश्वरौ
जो सुमिरत जो सुमिरत जो सुमिरत जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करिवर वरना करहु अनुग्रह सोई बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदना जो सुमिरत सिद्धि हो गणनायक करिवर वरना मुख होई वाचार पंगु चदय गिरिवर गहना जासु कृपा सुदया द्रवहु सकल कलिमल दहना जो सुमिरत सिद्ध हो गणनायक करिवर वरना नील सरोवर हुशाम करुणा अरुण बारिद नयना करहु सुमम उर्धान सदा क्षीर सागर शयना जो सुमिरत सिद्धि हो गणनायक करिवर बदना कुंड इंदु समदे उमार मन करुणा अयना गाहि दीन परने करहु कृपा मर्दन मयना जो सुमिरत सिद्धि हो गणनायक करिवर बदना बंदो गुरु पद कृपा सिंधु नर रूप हरि महामोह तम पुंज जासु वचन रवि कर जो सुमिरत सिद्ध हो गणनायक करिवर बदना करहु अनुग्रह सोई बुढ़िरासी शुभ गुण सरना
Namaste and Sitaram, everyone. And so I add my own words of welcome to those of my brother, to all of you who are joining us for Satsang tonight. And of course, all of you who are joining the social media broadcast. We're very happy and grateful that all of you have chosen to be with us this evening. So for these three satsangs which we started last night, I am discussing a particular conversation in the Ramayana, the Ramcharitmanas of Tulsidas. It's a very beautiful section, dialogue, conversation in the text that comes from the Lanka Kand, which is the chapter of the Ramayana that speaks of the conflict between Sri Ram and Ravana. So permit me just for a couple of minutes to recap so I can bring all of you to the point where I'm able to continue tonight, and those of you who are joining with us. So, you know the story of the Ramayana, you're familiar with it, the abduction of Sita by Ravana, took her to as a prisoner in Lanka, kept her there in the Ashoka grove for many, many years, and refused all appeals to resolve this problem peacefully and to let her go back to Sri Ram. So many in his own court, so many among his own ministers, his brother Vibhishana, all appealed to him to end this matter and to bring about a peaceful resolution with Sri Ram, who is forgiving and who is compassionate. But he refused. And so the conflict was inevitable. It was unavoidable. And after Ravana's brother Vibhishana tried unsuccessfully to persuade Ravana to resolve this matter peacefully and let her return to her home in Ayodhya, his brother Ravana expelled him from the kingdom. Actually, physically threw him out, and so he went to Sri Ram. And in this section of the Ramayana, the battle is on. The war is on, and Vibhishana has now come to be at the side of Sri Ram. And he notices something very unusual on this battlefield. Ravana Ratha Biratha Raghubir. Dekhi Vibhishana Bhayahu Adhir. Tulsidas writes in a very beautiful, as I said last night, very beautiful poetry, poetic meter, and every word there are no redundant words in Tulsidas's writing. Every word is important, every word is significant. So he says, Ravanu Rathi. Ravana has a beautiful chariot, but Ram is Biratha. Ratha is chariot in Hindi and Sanskrit, but Sri Ram is without a chariot. And when Vibhishana sees this, he becomes very anxious. He becomes very fearful. Out of his love of Sri Ram, Adhika Priti Manabha Sandeha. So he has a doubt in his mind, but a doubt arising out of his deep love for Sri Ram, that Ram seems to be not a good match for Ravana on this battle, because there's a military imbalance in this situation. So he goes, he speaks to Sri Ram and he expresses his worry, his anxiety. Nathana Ratha Nahitana Padatrata. He says, Sri Ram, you do not have a chariot. And not only are you without a war chariot, you do not have any personal armor to protect your body. You are barefooted on this battlefield. You are so ill-equipped for what is coming, because I know my brother. He is Veera. He is Balavana. He is a tremendous, amazing warrior. He is courageous. He is heroic. He is very difficult to defeat. And I am worried about you because of this comparison between your preparation and his military might. Now, as I said yesterday evening, if you speak to someone like this and at such a momentous moment, saying, I don't think you are going to emerge successfully, you are outmatched, you are ill-equipped, the person is likely to take offense. Ram could easily be offended by what Vibhishana is saying, because Vibhishana has just come to him, and now Vibhishana is telling him, my brother is a much better warrior than you are. And he has, he is on his home ground. He has everything that he needs. You are from Ayodhya. You have a sort of a ragtag army that you have assembled. And he has, he comes from this city, this well-guarded city, and you're fighting on his home turf. I don't think that you're going to emerge successfully. I am worried about the outcome of this battle. And so we are studying Sri Ram's response to this concern of Vibhishana. So Sri Ram says, listen, Sunahu Sakha Kaha Kripa Nidhana. So Tulsidas, the writer, says, the Sri Ram, who is Kripa Nidhana. Kripa means mercy, compassion. Nidhan means full of. One who is the abode of compassion, of love, of mercy, says, listen, my friend, Vibhishana. Jehi jaya hoi so syandana ana. Ravana does have a chariot. He does have a military chariot. But what you are not seeing is that I also have a chariot. But my chariot is a different one from his. And the chariot that I have is a chariot that ensures a victory in life itself. This is the chariot that leads to an eternal victory, not a short-lasting victory. And this is the chariot I want you to have also. I want you, Vibhishana, and I want everyone to have this chariot, not the chariot of violence, not the chariot of war, but the Dharmamaya Ratha. So Ratha is chariot, Yuddha is war. Ravana has a Yuddha Ratha, a chariot of violence, a chariot of war. Sri Ram says, I have a Dharmamaya Ratha. I have a chariot of virtue. My chariot is a chariot of virtue which you don't see. So let me describe. Let me tell you about this chariot that I have, which ensures and leads to a different kind of victory than the victory that is won by violence, the victory that is won by war. So in this dialogue that we are studying for these 3 nights, he describes this Dharmamaya Ratha, the chariot of virtue that is his chariot, and he's commending to Vibhishana, let this be your chariot. This is the chariot that leads to true victory, to lasting victory. So what is this chariot, as we saw last night?
Sauraj dhiraj rath te chaka Satyashila drid dvaja pataka Sauraj dhiraj tehi rath chaka Satyashila drid dvaja pataka Jai Ram Shri Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Bal Vivek Jam Par Hit Ghore Shama Kripa Samata Raj Jore Shri Ram Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Jai Ram Shri Rama Jai Jai Rama
Springland Gardens, quality homes for a lifetime of happiness. Situated 15 minutes from Gulf City Mall at Toby Trace in Avocat, our homes start at $1.8 million, with duplexes from $1.75 million. Our homes are outfitted with a fully equipped kitchen, 3 ensuite bedrooms with walk-in closets, powder room, sophisticated lighting, air conditioner, security cameras, burglar proofing, electronic gate garages, study, and utility room. Residents have access to a recreational pond, play park, and an artificial turf football field. Call 792-1155 to arrange your visit today. Visit our Facebook page, Springland Gardens, for more information.
So as I said yesterday, he starts with saying, what are the wheels of this chariot? This chariot of virtue, what are the 2 wheels? In ancient India, the chariots had 2 wheels. So he says, Sauraja dhiraja tehi rata chaka. Chaka means wheel. So the 2 wheels of this chariot he describes as Sauraj and Dhiraj. Sauraj means to be bold, to be courageous, to be without fear, to be willing to take risks, to have faith in oneself. And Dhiraj is persistence. So in order to achieve success in life, in any venture, one must have faith in oneself. One must have freedom from fear. Not to be unrealistic, but if one doubts oneself, every step that you take in life, naturally you're not going to get very, very, very far. But freedom from fear, willingness to take risks, must be complemented also by persistence, dedicated efforts, not giving up too easily, not being daunted by by failure. So he says, Sauraja Dhiraja Tehirata Chaka. These are the two wheels of the chariot of virtue. And then he says, and we started to discuss this, Satya Shila Drida Dwaja Pataka. So he says, and what are the flags of this chariot? And as I said last evening, these chariots in ancient India had two flags. Every warrior's chariot had two flags, one called Dwaja and one called Pataka. There was a main flag and there was a smaller flag. And these flags identified you on the battlefield. You might have a symbol of your, as we say in Sanskrit, of your Ishtadeva, your favorite form of god, or you might have an image of an ancient warrior on your chariot. But these two flags identified the warrior on the battlefield. So I mentioned that Arjuna, in another text, the Bhagavad Gita, he had, on his flag, he had the image of Hanuman. So that was, when you saw Hanuman's image on the battlefield, you know Arjuna was the warrior on that chariot. He's called Kapidvajaha. So his dwaja, his flag was Hanumanji. So these flags told something very important about the warrior, who the warrior is. So here he says, what are the flags on the chariot of virtue? And he mentions two flags, Satya and Sila. Satya Sila Drida Dwaja Pataka. So the two flags on the chariot of virtue are Satya, truth. And Sila means integrity. Truth and integrity are the flags on this chariot of virtue. Truth and good character. In other words, these should be our primary identity markers. This is what we should be known for. Even as flags identified warriors on the battlefield, he's saying that in life we should be identified by the markers, the flags of truth, Satya, and good character, Sila. Satya is very important, truth. One of the most ancient prayers in our Hindu tradition, Asato Ma Sadgamaya. I've been thinking a lot about that prayer in recent years, recent months. Over 3,000 years ago, this ancient priest in the Vedas prayed, Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Lead us from untruth to truth. It is so relevant today because I think that we live in a time when there's a crisis of truth. Truth is in crisis. And no human being without truth, or no community, no nation can endure very long without truth. And the matter of truth and falsehood, Satya and Asatya, has become a matter of life and death in our times. Just think about it. Think about the pandemic that we are in right now, the COVID pandemic. And social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, all of the social media, are so full of untruths about vaccines. Some people think that everything that appears on social media is true. It's very difficult to assess what is true and what is untrue, and lives are at risk. Lives are at risk. Over 900,000 people have lost their lives in the United States. Many of these deaths were avoidable. Many of these deaths are the consequences of untruth, asatya. And unfortunately, many of these untruths are being repeated by religious leaders. discouraging people from truth. In this pandemic, the only truth that we have is the truth of science. Is the truth of science, the reason of science. All of the statistics show us that vaccines save lives. Vaccines prevent hospitalization. Your chances of hospitalization, your risks of dying are tremendously reduced by vaccines. And yet, asatya. We live in a time of asatya. And asatya is, as I said, is life costing. So satya, he says, this is the flag. This is what we should be known as individuals, as a nation, as communities, by our adherence to truth. You know, we are discussing here the Ramayana. And the whole narrative of this text is about truth and untruth. Satya and asatya. I sometimes think of this very much. And just for a moment, think with me. Look, in the privacy of a bedroom, no iPhones to record, in Ayodhya, a husband made a promise to his wife. The husband is Dasarath. Made a promise to Kaikeyi. The only two of them were in that bedroom when he made this promise. You know, what was the promise? She had nursed him back to health when he was wounded in war. He wanted to reward her. And she said, no, you know, I have done this was my duty to care for you. And he persisted, no, you know, you saved my life after this battle, I must reward you. And she said no, and so this went back and forth, and eventually she said, okay, you know, maybe at some future time I would ask of you 2 gifts. And he said, yes. And when you ask, I would fulfill your wishes. She was the only one who heard that. Kaikeyi, no one else. In the privacy of a bedroom, he gave his word. When Dasarath announced that Sri Ram would be the crown prince, he would succeed his father, Kaikeyi decided to redeem these promises. And as you know, she asked for Sri Ram to be banished, 14 varsh Ram Banvasi. That for 14 years he must go into exile and Bharat must be the king. When she made that request, Dasarath could have said, because no one, as I said, no one was there. This was a moment of crisis in the kingdom, right? He has announced his son is going to be king, and now his wife is saying, but you promised. I said, nobody heard the promise. It's really, we take it for granted. It never entered Dasarath's mind to say, I did not say that. That would have been an easy way out. He could have said publicly, I never made that promise. Wouldn't it? And a lot of people would have done that. A lot of politicians would have done that. Because there was nothing, no one recorded that statement. This is what Drida, he says, Satya Drida, Satya Shila Drida, firmness in truth must be your flag in life. And Dasarath exemplified that. It's an amazing historical response. That he never denied it, even though no one heard it. That was not an option for him. And just think also, when Ram heard that his stepmother wanted his banishment for 14 years and his brother Bharat to be the king, he was concerned about one thing and one thing only. did my father give his word? That was all that mattered to him. Did he make those promises? And his father never denied it. And if my father gave his word, if this is the truth, then I will be obedient to it, whatever the cost. Again, even his brother Bharat and his younger brother Lakshman said, you know, our father is old now. He just spoke carelessly. You know, why don't you imprison him, put him away? Don't listen to him. Put him away. And if anyone stands against you, we'll fight for you. We'll fight for you to claim the throne. But this was not the way. This is not a way of truth. He was concerned only, did my father give his word? And if he gave his word, then I am going to be obedient. That's fidelity to truth. And this is what Sri Ram says here. Let us be known by this flag of truth. Satya, 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 Satya. And he adds, Satya Shila. What is the second flag? Sila, Sila. Sila is integrity. I mean, the harmony of thought, word, and action is called, in Sanskrit, Sila. When there is this harmony between what I think, what I speak, and how I act. So Satya puts the emphasis on speech, words, vachan, and Sila on action. Truth in action, the harmony of thought, word, and action. So in the battle, the fall of a flag, when the flag on a chariot fell on the battlefield, that signified defeat. Defeat of the warrior when his flag fell. So here Ram is suggesting, and he uses the word drida, you know. Your flag of truth and integrity must be drida. Because the flag on the chariot, the wind blows it, it moves. But I'm saying that he's saying, your flag should be drida. It should be firm. It should not be wavering. And so, when the flag fell on the chariot, that signified defeat. So what he's saying that when we lose our value for truth, when we lose our integrity, we are defeated. That's defeat. So be firm in your flag of truth and integrity. This is another kind of defeat. You know, Viveshana is another way of saying, Viveshana, you are thinking of defeat on the battlefield, but there's also a different kind of victory and defeat. There's a victory of fidelity and loyalty to truth and integrity, and there is loss and defeat when those are destroyed. Let this be the virtues for which you are known. As you know, as we remember Sri Ram, we would not remember Sri Ram today if he wasn't loyal to truth. He'll be forgotten a long time ago. So, you know, you have this very famous line in Ramayana, Raghukul Riti Sada Chali Ai, Pran Jai Baru Vachan Na Jai. This is, he says, you know, this is a rule, a political rule of our dynasty. Raghukul Riti Sada Chali Ai, that we will give our lives first, but we will not tell the truth to our community. We will not lie politically. We will give our lives before we tell a public lie. How far have we moved away from that kind of ideal today in our political lives? That we no longer trust our politicians. We no longer trust our leaders to speak to tell us the truth. And that I recognize that also causes a lot of uncertainties even when they tell us about vaccines, because they've lost trust. And they've lost trust because of a history of asatya, of not telling the truth. It's very difficult to regain that kind of integrity when it is lost when the flag of truth falls, we all fall. We are all defeated. So the wheels of the chariot, Sauraj and Dhiraj, the flags of the chariot, Satya and Shila, and of course, what are the horses of this chariot of virtue? What are the 4 horses? Ghori, what are the horses? He says, Bala, Viveka, Dhamma, Parahita, Ghori. So this chariot Vibhishana that you don't see, you see Ravana's horses, let me tell you what my horses are. And what should be your horses? And he names them, he lists them. Bala, Viveka, Dhamma, Parahita. What is Bala or Balam? Balam is strength. But there are different kinds of strength. So there is the strength of knowledge, Jnana Bala. Knowledge is also a kind of strength when you are learned, when you know, that's a strength. There is also the strength of virtue, the Bala of virtue, Dharma Bala. There is the strength of discipline, Tapasa Bala. So there are different kinds of strength, and in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says a very interesting verse: Balam balavata chasmi kama raga vivarachitam. I am the strength of those who are free from greed. He talks about moral strength, and I think this is what Sri Ram is speaking here. One of my horse is Dharma Bala. My strength is not physical, it is moral strength. And it is not something to be underestimated. There is strength in virtue. There is strength in moral commitment. Think of people we admire in history, who made a difference in the very direction of history. I can give you examples, you can think of examples. Martin Luther King in the United States. He didn't have an army, but he had Dharma Bala. He felt that racism was wrong. It was unjust. And he could summon moral Bala, Dharma Bala, to resist and to bring about a civil rights revolution in the United States. Mahatma Gandhi didn't have an army to stand up against the British, but he had the Bala of non-violence, the strength of ahimsa. That's also a form of strength. So he says, one of the horses is moral courage, moral strength, moral commitment. So Bala, and then what is the second horse? Viveka. Or in Tulsidas's Avadhi is Bibeka. Bibeka is, I would translate it as discernment. The ability to tell the difference between truth and untruth. To weigh information, to discern what is untrue, and to hold on to what is true. It takes commitment to do that. Today is complicated, it takes an investment of time. It's very easy, to just say, okay, whatever I see on social media said is true. There was a bit of research that was done, in the United States, very credible research, that showed, that people tend on the whole to believe what they see on social media. And if it's and they studied the difference between a truth on social media and an untruth on social media. And it was very clear, untruth spread much faster than truth. Untruths spread much faster than truth on social media. So Viveka is the ability to tell the difference. If one doesn't have that in life, it's a perilous situation not to be able to tell the difference between truth and untruth, not to have this virtue of viveka or viveka. So one horse is moral commitment, moral strength. Another horse is viveka, the ability to tell the truth, the difference between truth and untruth. And more broadly, to tell the difference between what is important and what is not important. What is changing and finite and non-lasting, and what is truly important. What lasts, what are the significant and insignificant things in life, and to put your value on what is truly significant and important. So Bala, Viveka, and the third horse is the horse of Dhamma. Dhamma. What is Dhamma? Dhamma is self-control. Self-control. Control over one's thoughts, control over one's sense organs, control over one's organs of action, mindful speaking, mindful acting, being in charge of one's reactions, one's response. We always tend to blame, you caused me to become angry, you provoked me. That shows that, that's a confession of a lack of control. People can be provocative, but I must always be in control of my response. That's where I exercise freedom and where I exercise control. It's a unique human gift that we should not relinquish, the ability to be in control. Dhamma, to practice self-control. So that's the third horse. So please follow me, I want you to keep track of this chariot. The two wheels are Sauraj and Dhiraj. The two flags are Satya and Shila, truth and integrity. The four horses, go ahead. Bala, strength, Viveka, Dhamma, and interestingly the fourth, Parahita. Parahita. Parahita means commitment to the well-being of others. Care for others. So in other words, I must have strength, Bala, moral strength. I must have the ability to tell the difference between truth and untruth, what is important and what is not important, that discernment. I should have self-control, but I should also be outward looking. In other words, I should also be concerned about the well-being of those around me. Parahita. It's a very beautiful line in Ramayana where Sri Ram is asked, what is virtue and what is evil? And he explains in one of my favorite lines, Parahita dharma, Parahita sarisa dharma nahi bhai. He says there is no virtue that is higher than Parahita, than caring for others. And Parahita sarisa dharma nahi bhai, parapira sama nahi adhamai. And there is no vice or no evil greater than causing pain to another, inflicting suffering on another. Parahita sarisa dharma nahi bhai, parapira sama nahi adhamai. Very clear, crisp, beautiful definition of virtue. And there he uses the word parahita, parahita. And here also Sri Ram says the fourth horse is parahita. Balam, Viveka, Dharma, Parahita. These are the four horses of the Dharma Mayaratha, the chariot of virtue. So, and Parahita in our Hindu tradition certainly extends to how we treat other human beings. But in this tradition, as we say more technically, it is not anthropocentric. Our Parahita is not limited to our relationships with human beings only. It should be an attitude to all living beings, to all sentient beings. So there is a very beautiful story at the end of the Mahabharata that I want to mention to you. It's one of my favorite incidents in the text, Mahabharata. You'll be surprised about this story. This comes at the end of Mahabharata. So the war, this is another war. The war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Arjuna is a Pandava, and then you have Duryodhana, who is a Kaurava, and they had this great battle. A battle of righteousness and unrighteousness. But everybody, war is like that. Nobody comes out unscathed. Everyone pays a high price when there is war. And that's very clear from the Mahabharata. The Pandavas win the war, but they have lost everything. They've lost their families. The point of the text is, maybe sometimes war might be inevitable, but war comes with very high costs. Eventually, they are reduced to the 5 brothers and Draupadi. They are the only ones who survived this war. Arjuna, his elder brother Yudhishthir, the twin brothers Nakula and Sahadeva, and Draupadi, 5 of them survive this war. And they decide to end their lives by going to the Himalayan mountains to finish the last days of their lives. On a long journey to the Himalayan mountains. And as they proceed towards the mountains, one by one, they begin to die. Because they're exhausted. It's a long journey. They don't have the necessities to survive. They are getting very exhausted. And they begin to die one by one as they journey in Mahabharata. The last to survive was the eldest brother Yudhishthir. And Yudhishthir was known in Mahabharata as Dharmaputra, Dharmaraja. He was the virtuous one. The one who knew the difference between right and wrong. We spoke about Viveka. The one who had Viveka, he is Yudhishthir. He's called Dharmaraja, Dharmaputra. So he is the last. Everyone else, 4 brothers have fallen along the way. Draupadi also dies. And he's continuing this journey. But as he walks, he notices, in fact I should have said before, that when they started off on this trek, a stray dog joined them in Mahabharata. It was not a pet dog, it was a stray dog that started to follow them. As you know, sometimes stray dogs do that. This stray dog started to follow them. And as each one died, the dog continued with them. So at the end of it now, it's Yudhishthir and this stray dog. And Yudhishthir is growing very tired. He's getting very exhausted. The dog is also, limping behind him, suffering from exhaustion. And just when Yudhishthir is about to collapse and to pass away, the Lord of the heavens, Indra, Lord of the heavens, comes before him with a beautiful chariot. We're speaking about chariots. And Indra invited him to ascend. Please come into my chariot and I will take you to the heavenly world. In Sanskrit, it's called Swarga. I will take you to Swarga. Please come. So he said, okay, I'll come with you, but I want to be sure that my brothers and Draupadi are also there. I will not come unless you assure me that they will be there with me. So Indra said, no, please don't worry. They are already there. And you will meet them. You will meet Nakula, Sahadeva, Arjuna, Bhima, and Draupadi. Everyone is in Swarga already. You are the you are the last one to join with them. So, Yudhishthira then makes a plea to Indra and says, I want this dog to come with me. Please allow me to bring this dog to heaven. So Indra, because he says, parahita, freedom from cruelty, is the most important virtue in life. And this dog has been our companion and became my only companion when I alone lived. So I want this dog also to come with me. Indra tries to dissuade him. Indra says, no, but dogs are not allowed in heaven. There are no dogs in heaven. So your choice is either you come to heaven or you stay here with this dog. But I can't allow this dog to come into Swarga. He asked him, now, are you willing to give up heaven for the sake of this dog? This will be the first time, a dog goes to Swarga. So they go back and forth. And Mahabharata spends some time on this issue. The arguments go back and forth about the fate of this dog and Yudhishthira. And so Indra reminds him that that persons with dogs are never allowed entry into heaven. And he will, don't worry, Indra said, you will not be judged as a cruel person. You would not violate dharma by leaving this dog behind. So don't worry, you will not be punished for leaving this dog behind. Yudhishthira does not relent. I am not coming to Swarga unless this dog comes with me. He doesn't back down. In the text, I can't abandon, he says, this living being who is in distress and who was my companion in this most difficult time of my life. I cannot give this dog up. So eventually Indra had to relent and allow Yudhishthira to enter into heaven with his dog. And then the text says, this was the final test of Yudhishthira, to see how virtuous he really was and how true was his parahit, how true was his compassion for all living beings, not only for his brothers and his wife, but it all came down to this, how much he cared for this stray dog. I don't know if there is another story, another narrative in any scripture in the world, maybe there is and I have not yet found it, that has a story like this, where a human fidelity to ethics is tested on the basis of how he or she cares for a non-human life form, a non-human being. So, balam, bala strength, viveka, dhamma, and parahit. These are the 4 horses of the chariot. So when you think of a chariot, 2 wheels, 4 horses, then the next important part of the chariot would be the reins. The reins that are attached to the horses. So what are the reins on the chariot of virtue? What are the reins? So bala viveka dhamma parahita ghore Shama, Kripa, Samata, Raju, Jore. These are called the Jores. Jore means reins, the ropes that are attached to the horses. So what are the reins? So he mentions three. So let me clarify this now. So these chariots had 4 horses. So why are there only 3 reins mentioned by Sri Ram? The reason is the horses at the front of the traditional chariot each had a rein, but the 2 at the back had 1 rein. People who studied the ancient Indian chariots saw this, because the 2 at the back followed the ones in front. So the ones in front need to be held independently by the charioteer, but the 2 at the back needed 1 rein because they couldn't go anywhere but behind the horses in front. So traditional Indian chariots had three reins. So what are the reins in this chariot of virtue? And he gives 3 beautiful words, again, that we could add to the list. So at the end of the night, now you have to repeat this list for me, right? Kshama, Kripa, Samata. Shama, Kripa, Samata. These are the reins of the chariot. What is Kshama? Kshama is a forgiving heart. Forgiveness is called Kshama. It is not forgetting. Sometimes we say, forgive and forget. It's not realistic. Memories don't work like that. It is possible to forgive without forgetting, more realistically. If I am hurt by someone in a particular situation, or a particular context, I don't have the human capacity to erase a memory that has taken place, an event that has happened. It's not like, our minds are not like computers where we can drag it and put it into the bin and it's trashed forever. You can search for it and you'll never find it. Memories, that's one difference between the human mind and the MacBook or whatever the model of your computer. So, forgiveness does not require forgetting. That's not realistic. And we should admit that. Because if you don't admit that, you think that I can't forgive unless I forget. Right? But if you remember my discussion last night, forgiveness requires that we look deeper. And I gave the example of Sita last night. She was kept as a prisoner by Ravana. And when Hanuman went to free her and to take her back to Ram, he asked, please give me permission to punish these women who guarded you, who kept you a prisoner. And she said, no, please don't punish them because they are also victims of this dictator. They had no choice also. And in other words, she looked deeper. She doesn't forget. It doesn't mean that she forgot immediately all of her experiences as a prisoner in Ashoka, but she brought a certain understanding to the situation as a result of which, she was able to practice the virtue of Kshama, forgiveness. And this is what Sri Ram commends. If it is not forgetting, it is not also, Kshama is not also condoning wrongdoing. Satya, we should be able to say, if you've hurt me, I should be able to say, you spoke, I feel hurt by what you said to me. You spoke inappropriately to me. Why did you speak like this? Kshama should also be combined with truth speaking. I should be able to say that. It doesn't mean that I must condone wrongdoing or I must allow myself to be a victim of other people's hurtful behavior. That's not what it is. So it's not forgetting, it's not condoning, it's not being silent. But it means, I bring a certain understanding that allows me to heal. to heal my own self, my own heart. Because every human being is complex. Every human being has a story. Even the arrogant people that we meet, behind that arrogance is an inadequate sense of self. When people are arrogant, it means they're doubtful about their own value, about their own worth. When you see that, you can deal with the arrogance doesn't hurt you. You look behind the word, you look behind the action, and that is kripa, that is shama. So that's one reign, kshama, and the second one is kripa. We saw just now the name of Sri Ram, Kripa Nidhan, the abode of kripa. Kripa is compassion. Compassion is kripa, and parahit and kripa are similar virtues. Tulsidas has very beautiful descriptions of kripa in Ramcharitmanas. Very beautiful. Paradukha dukha. He defines what is compassion. Tulsidas says, paradukha dukha. That if someone is suffering, I feel that suffering. Paradukha means when another suffers, I suffer. Paradukha dukha, he says, that is kripa. That is compassion. Then there's a beautiful statement attributed to Tulsidas. Daya dharma ka moola hai. Papa moola abhiman. That the foundation of virtue, he says, is kripa, compassion. The moola, the root of virtue is compassion. Daya dharma ka moola hai. Papa moola abhiman. And the root of adharma is selfishness, not caring about others, not concerned about others' well-being. That's kripa. And the last one is samata. So these go together. Kshama, kripa, samata. Samata means composure, equilibrium. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, samatvam yoga uchyate. He says yoga, the essence of yoga is samatvam, the same word that Tulsidas uses as one of the reigns. I can give you many examples, and we can go on long to talk about what is samatva. What is this samata? Calmness, composure, equilibrium. But I think you would understand Tulsidas's point much better if I spoke of it in a way that you would immediately recognize. One who has this virtue of samatha is not a moody person. Samatha is the opposite of moodiness. A moody person is a problem for everyone. Because we say, I don't know what mood this person is in today. I'm not sure if I could speak to this person because I don't know what mood the person is. So moodiness means, the person has a certain emotional disposition in the morning. It differs in midday and differs in the evening. It's unpredictable. The person's emotional condition is unpredictable. And therefore it makes it difficult to deal with such a person. You may say the most innocent things, and if the person is in a bad mood, you're going to elicit an unexpected response. So samatha describes a person who is overcome moodiness, who is the same emotional disposition consistently. And he says in Bhagavad Gita, samatvam yoga uchyate. He says the heart of yoga is this equilibrium, this samatha, free from moodiness. It's a very emotional problem, I tell you. That if you're dealing with one who is unpredictable, doesn't have this gift of moodiness. So these are the three reins of the horses. Shama, forgiveness. Kripa, compassion. Samatha, calmness. Equilibrium, balance. Free from the moodiness of emotional ups and downs at different times of the day. And then, what else is there on the chariot? Who is the charioteer in this chariot of virtue? Who drives the chariot of virtue? Isha bhajanu sarathi sujana virati charma santosha kripana. So he goes on to describe who is the driver of this chariot and what are the weapons that this driver carries with him. But we'll continue and hopefully finish our description of this chariot tomorrow. So far we have learned 11 terms. Let's revise. Sauraja, freedom from fear. Dhiraja, persistence, dedicated effort. Sauraja, Dhiraja. Satya, the two flags. So Sauraj and Dhiraj are the wheels of the chariot. Right? Satya and Sila are the flags of the chariot. Truth and integrity. And the horses are moral strength, moral courage, Bala, Viveka, the ability to tell between truth and untruth, what is transient, what is passing, what is fleeting, what is truly important, Viveka. Dhamma, self-control. Parahita, concern for the well-being of others. And the three reins of the horses: forgiveness, Kshama, Kripa, compassion for others, and Samatha, equilibrium, balance, mental and emotional stability is Samatha. So 11 parts of this chariot are described now. We have described in these two, and then we'll finish and see how far we get in the third. It's a very beautiful, if I was an artist, I would draw this chariot. And I would identify each part of this chariot. It's a wonderful mechanism to teach children about virtues. Because you can use the illustration of the chariot and get them to remember. What are the wheels of this chariot? What are the four horses of the chariot? What are the reins of this chariot? Who is the charioteer? What is the armor that the charioteer is wearing? What is the charioteer's sword? What are his arrows? All of that Sri Ram describes to Vibhishana. At the end he says, this is the chariot of a meaningful life. This is the chariot you want to travel this world on. Not the chariot of violence, not the chariot of hate, not the chariot of war, but the chariot of peace, the chariot of compassion, the chariot of love for others. So with those words I will end today and pass on to Suraj and Balrupji for concluding bhajans and kirtan, and then Arati.
While Balrup prepares, we sing Hanuman Chalisa every evening in honor of the family deity, so I invite you now to join in Hanuman Chalisa. Sri Guru Charana Saroj Raja Nij Man Mukur Sudhari Varna Raghuvar Vimala Yasha Jodhyayak Phalchari Buddhahin Tanu Janike Sumira Pavan Kumar Bal Budi Vidya Dehu Mohi Harhu Kalesha Vikar
जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागरे, जय कपीश तिहु लोक उजागरे। रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन
महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन वरण विराज सुवेशा, कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केशरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित सुनिबे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंका जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाए संजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरत सम भाई। सहस बदन तुम्हरो यश गावे, अजय श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीषा, नारद शारद सहित अहीशा। यम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाँ के, कवि कोविद कहि सकय कहारे। तुम उपकार सुग्रीव कीन्हा, राम मिलाए राज पर दीन्हा। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। युग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु, लील्यो ताहि मधुर पल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मिली मुख माही, जल गिरांगे जय अक्षर जनाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी शरणा, तुम राक्षस काहू को डरना। आपने तीर संहारो आप, तीनों लोक हाथ के तापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नाश है रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा। संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग
परताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्टसिद्धि नवनिधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारो भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंतकाल रघुवर पुर गाए, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चेतन धरहि, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करहि। सते मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव के नाई। जो शत बार पाठ कर कोई, च्युत ही बंधि महासुख होई। जो यहाँ पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होई सीधी साखी गौरीशा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, की जय नाथ हृदय महादेवा। की जय नाथ हृदय महादेवा। पवन तनय संकट हरन, मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय। श्री राम। We're fast coming to the end of this our second night of the yajna, and again I want to thank each and every one of you for gracing us with your presence. You have given us your time, and we hope that the evening has added value to your experience and added value to your time. Just to tell you a little bit about the other buildings on this compound, just in front of me and to the back of my good friend Sati Paryag. We have been friends for over 45 years. It's a long time. And we grew up together. I'm older than him, but he's my very dear friend. And I welcome you all, ma'am, to it. And so to my friend Surjeev Mangru. Over 50 years we have been friends. And when you see, these friends coming and being around you for 50 years, like Balu for 55 years, it really makes you feel very happy that, people value and people treasure you. So welcome everyone. Behind this is a building called Yagnastan, a place of sacrifice. It is a Havan Kund that is built according to how it's prescribed in the Vedas. And tomorrow morning, Pandit Parasram Maharaj, very renowned Purohit, one who is very, very schooled in rituals, he comes from a lineage of Pandits, and he will be performing the ceremony, the Stapna ceremony for the Murtis, and using that Havan Kund. Ananta had, when the Murtis first came, we did what is called a Swagatam Puja, to welcome the Murtis into the temple, and that was done by Anant also. But the main ceremony tomorrow is being done by Pandit Parasram. Behind that building is a building called Bhojan Laya. And Bhojan, of course, is food, and Laya is place. So that's a place for food. All these names for these buildings were given by Anant. He's now a master in naming things. He's also the one who gave the name Shanti Tiram to the show of peace. So, it is a tradition he has. So whenever I need a name, I call him and I said, I need a name, and I get good names. And that building, of course, we have, it's a service center. You have bathrooms and everything else, tables set out to eat, and equipped kitchen and what have you. And I say that to you because if any one of you would like to use here for a function, it's available to you to use, and whenever you have a puja, you probably want to do it here. You're very welcome. It's a gift to the community also that we have done here. So Balrup would lead us in a bhajan, and then we'll close with our arti.
राम चरण सुखदाई भजो मन राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई जय चरणन से निकसी सुरसरी शंकर जता समाई जय चरणन से निकसी सुरसरी शंकर जता समाई जता शंकरी नाम पर्यो है जता शंकरी नाम पर्यो है त्रिभुवन तारन आए भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई
भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई
जय चरणन की चरण पादुका भरतर्य हो लोलाई जिन चरणन की चरण पादुका भरतर हो लोलाई सोई चरण घेवत दोइलीने सोई चरण सो सोई चरण सेवत झन केवत भरतर हो लोलाई सोई चरण खेवत डोइलीने तब हरि नाम चढ़ाए भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई 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 सोई चरण संतन जन सेवत सदा रहत सुखदाई सोई चरण संतन जन सेवत सदा रहत सुखदाई सोई चरण गौतम ऋषि नारी परसि परम पद पाए भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई 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 भज मन राम चरण सुखदाई.
So now we will have our Aarti, and we sing the Hanuman Aarti as usual tonight. And again, our gratitude for your presence and that of Sankhya TV also here with us this evening. Jushtadalana Raghunath Kala ki Jushtadalana Raghunath Kala ki आरती की जय हनुमान लला की आरती की जय हनुमान लला की आरती की जय हनुमान लला की आरती की जय हनुमान लला की. जाके बल से गिरिवर कांपे रोग दोष जाके निकट नागे अंजनी पुत्र महाबलदाई संतन के प्रभु सदा सहाय आरती की जय हनुमान लला की आरती की जय हनुमान लला की. जय मेरा रघुनाथ पठाए लंका जारी सिया सुदिलाए लंका सपोत समुद्र सिखाई जात पवन सुत बालन लाई लंका जार्य सुर संहारे सिया राम जी के काज सवारे आरती की जय हनुमान लला की आरती की जय हनुमान लला की. लक्ष्मण मूर्छित परे सखारे आनि संजीवन प्राण उबारे पैठी पताल तोरे जमका अहि रावण की बुझा उखारे, बाए भुजा असुर दल मारे, दाहिनी भुजा संत जन तारे। आरती की जय हनुमान लला की, आरती की जय हनुमान लला की। सुर मुनि गण आरती उतारे, आरती उतारे प्रभु आरती उतारे। सुर नर मुनि आरती उतारे, जय 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 हनुमान उठारे। कंचन थाल कपूर लोछाही, आरती करत अंजना माई। जो हनुमान की आरती गावे, वसी वैकुंठ परम पद पावे। आरती की जय हनुमान लला की, आरती की जय हनुमान लला की, आरती की जय हनुमान लला की, आरती की जय हनुमान लला की।
यत्र यत्र रघुनाथ कीर्तनं, तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं, बाष्पवारी परिपूर्णलोचनं, मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम्। मनोजवं मारुतितुल्यवेगं, जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं, वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं, श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव, त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव, त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सियापति रामचंद्र की
जय।
पवन सुत हनुमान की
जय।
जय। सब संतन की
जय।
Springland Gardens, quality homes for a lifetime of happiness. Situated 15 minutes from Gulf City Mall at Toby Trace in Avocat, our homes start at $1.8 million, with duplexes from $1.75 million. Our homes are outfitted with a fully equipped kitchen, 3 ensuite bedrooms with walk-in closets, powder room, sophisticated lighting, air conditioner, security cameras, burglar proofing, electronic gate garages, study, and utility room. Residents have access to a recreational pond, play park, and an artificial turf football field. Call 792-1155 to arrange your visit today. Visit our Facebook page, Springland Gardens, for more information.